Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel, where we make learning English exciting, practical, and, most importantly, fun. I'm so happy to have you here today, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join me. Whether you're just starting your English learning journey, looking to improve your English listening and speaking skills, or searching for ways to take your English to the next level, you're in the right place. Now, let me share a little bit about myself. I'm not a native English speaker, and I've never lived in an English-speaking country or attended an international school. Everything I've learned about English, how to speak, read, write, and even think in English, has been from my own experience of self-study. So trust me, I know how it feels to face the challenges of learning a new language. If I can do it, so can you. My journey wasn't about memorizing endless grammar rules or spending hours studying boring textbooks. Instead, I discovered simple, fun, and effective ways to learn, which helped me improve my English while enjoying the process. Today, I'm here to share those methods with you. My goal is to help you build confidence, connect with others, and truly enjoy using English in your daily life. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you stick around. By the end of this video, you'll have some practical tips to start improving your English right away. Are you ready? Let's jump into today's lesson and start expanding our horizons together. Part 2. Addressing Problems with Traditional English Learning. All right, before we dive into the methods I've used to improve my English, let's take a moment to address something important. Have you ever felt frustrated with the way English is traditionally taught in schools or language courses? If your answer is yes, you're not alone. In fact, this is one of the most common struggles I hear from English learners around the world. Let me explain. Most traditional English learning methods focus heavily on memorizing grammar rules, vocabulary lists, and completing worksheets. You spend hours trying to understand complicated sentence structures or figuring out how to conjugate verbs perfectly. But when it's time to actually use English in a real conversation, you freeze. It's like all those rules and words you've memorized disappear in that moment. Sound familiar? And then there's the problem with speaking practice. Or should I say, the lack of it. In many classrooms, students are rarely encouraged to speak. Instead, you're expected to quietly listen to the teacher, take notes, and prepare for exams. When you do get a chance to speak, it often feels forced or unnatural. For example, you might be asked to read a sentence aloud from a textbook or recite a dialogue that has nothing to do with your life. It doesn't feel like real communication, does it? I remember when I was in high school, English classes were all about passing tests. The focus wasn't on using English as a tool for communication, but rather on scoring high in exams. We were drilled on grammar exercises, forced to memorize lists of words, and taught to write essays that no one would ever read again after the test. It felt robotic and meaningless. There was no excitement, no creativity, and certainly no connection to the real world. Another common issue is that traditional methods don't teach you how to think in English. You're taught to translate everything in your head from your native language to English. This creates a huge delay when you try to speak because your brain is busy processing two languages at once. And let's be honest, it's exhausting and frustrating. And here's something else that's often overlooked. Emotions play a big role in language learning. In traditional methods, there's very little emphasis on how to connect emotionally with the language. For example, when you're excited, sad, or angry, do you think about how to express those feelings in English? Probably not, because the system doesn't teach you to personalize the language. It's all about rules, not about making English a part of who you are. Lastly, let's talk about motivation. Traditional English learning can feel boring and repetitive. If you're not excited about what you're learning, it's easy to lose interest and give up. I've met so many learners who say, "I've been studying English for years, but I still can't speak fluently." That's not because they're not capable. It's because the system didn't give them the tools they needed to succeed. So, why does this happen? Why do so many schools and courses get it wrong? Well, the problem lies in their approach. They treat English like it's just another academic subject, like math or science. But English is a living language. It's not something you just memorize and repeat. It's something you experience, something you live and breathe. The good news is, you don't have to rely on these traditional methods anymore. There are better, more enjoyable ways to learn English, ways that focus on real communication, practical skills, and building your confidence. And the best part is, you can start using these methods right now, from the comfort of your own home. So, if you've ever felt frustrated, stuck, or uninspired while learning English, don't worry. You're not alone, and it's not your fault. The system may not have worked for you, but that doesn't mean you can't succeed. In fact, I'm here to show you a completely different approach that will help you improve your English listening and speaking skills, connect with others, and make learning a fun and rewarding experience. Are you ready to break free from traditional learning methods and discover a new way to learn English? Let's move on to the next section and explore how you can start making real progress today. Part 3. Importance of time and energy management. Now that we've talked about the problems with traditional English learning methods, let's focus on something that's absolutely crucial for your success: managing your time and energy effectively. Because let's face it, learning English takes effort, and you want to make sure that every bit of time and energy you spend on it truly counts. Let's start with time. Time is your most valuable resource, and it's also the one thing you can never get back. Think about this for a moment. How many hours have you spent sitting in a classroom or studying English, only to feel like you've made little to no progress? How often have you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," only to realize that tomorrow never comes? The truth is, it's not just about how much time you have. It's about how you use it. So, how do you use your time wisely when learning English? First, it's important to set clear and realistic goals. Instead of saying, "I want to speak fluent English someday," break that goal down into smaller, achievable steps. For example, you might decide, "This week, I'll learn 10 new phrases that I can use in everyday conversation." Or, "Today, I'll watch a 10-minute English video and practice mimicking the speaker's intonation." By focusing on small, specific goals, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment and stay motivated to keep going. Next, let's talk about prioritization. We all have busy lives: work, school, family, and a million other responsibilities. It's easy to feel like there's no time left for learning English. But here's the thing. You don't need hours and hours every day to make progress. What you need is consistency. Even just 20 or 30 minutes a day, when used effectively, can make a huge difference. The key is to make English a priority in your daily routine. Treat it like brushing your teeth or eating dinner, something you do every day, no matter what. 1. Great way to manage your time is to combine English learning with activities you already enjoy. For example, if you like watching movies or TV shows, watch them in English. If you enjoy listening to music, find English songs and try to sing along. If you're a fan of reading, start with short English articles or stories. This way, you're not only learning English, but also doing something you love, which makes the process much more enjoyable and sustainable. Now, let's move on to energy. Time is limited, but energy can be replenished. Have you ever noticed that you're more focused and productive at certain times of the day? Maybe you're a morning person who feels energized after a good night's sleep, or maybe you're a night owl who does your best work in the quiet hours of the evening. The point is, you need to figure out when your energy levels are at their peak and dedicate that time to learning English. If you try to study when you're tired or distracted, you're not going to retain much information, and it'll feel like a waste of effort. It's also important to avoid burnout. Learning English is a marathon, not a sprint. If you push yourself too hard, you'll end up feeling exhausted and demotivated. That's why it's okay to take breaks when you need them. Listen to your body and your mind. If you're feeling overwhelmed, step away for a moment and come back when you're refreshed. Remember, it's better to study for 30 focused minutes than to force yourself through 2 hours of unproductive learning. And here's a little tip. Try to create a positive and comfortable learning environment. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Turn off notifications on your phone to minimize distractions. Have a notebook or digital tool handy to jot down new words or ideas. And don't forget to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Every step forward is a step closer to your goal. One final thing to consider is your mindset. Managing your time and energy isn't just about creating a schedule. It's about believing that your efforts are worth it. If you approach English, learning with a positive attitude and a sense of curiosity, you'll find it much easier to stay motivated and focused. Instead of thinking, I have to study English, try telling yourself, I get to learn English. It's a privilege, not a chore, and it opens up so many opportunities for personal and professional growth. In summary, learning English doesn't require endless hours or superhuman effort. What it requires is smart time management, effective use of your energy, and a commitment to consistency. By setting clear goals, prioritizing your learning, and creating a positive environment, you can make steady progress without feeling overwhelmed. So, are you ready to take control of your time and energy and start learning English in a smarter, more effective way? Let's move on to the next section, where I'll show you some practical and fun methods to make that happen. Part 4. Effective and fun learning methods. Now that we've discussed how to manage your time and energy effectively, let's dive into the heart of learning English, using methods that are not only effective but also fun. Because, let's be honest, if learning feels like a boring chore, you're not going to stick with it for long. So in this section, I'll walk you through some practical steps to make your English learning journey enjoyable and productive. Step 1. Watch videos without subtitles. Let's start with a simple yet powerful method: watching videos in English without subtitles. Now, you might be thinking, how can I understand anything if I don't have subtitles? But here's the key. The goal of this step isn't to understand every single word. Instead, it's to get used to the natural sounds, rhythms, and intonations of English. Start by choosing a video you genuinely enjoy. Maybe a YouTube channel, a movie scene, or even a TED Talk. Spend at least 30 minutes a day watching content without subtitles. Focus on the way the speakers pronounce words, their tone, and their body language. Don't stress about catching every word. Just immerse yourself in the flow of the language. Over time, you'll start to recognize common phrases and patterns without even realizing it. This step is particularly important because it helps you develop your language sense. It trains your brain to pick up on the subtle nuances of English, such as how native speakers link words together or emphasize certain syllables. And most importantly, it makes learning feel less like studying and more like enjoying a show or a story. Step 2. Add subtitles for context. After a week or so of watching videos without subtitles, it's time to take the next step, turning on English subtitles. This is where you'll start connecting the sounds you hear with their written form. Choose shorter videos, preferably under 10 minutes, to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Watch the video with subtitles and pay attention to the vocabulary, sentence, structures, and expressions the speakers use. If you come across a word or phrase you don't understand, don't feel pressured to pause and look it up immediately. Instead, try to guess its meaning from the context. After the video, you can jot down a few words or phrases you're curious about and look them up later. The key here is to maintain the flow and enjoy the process. Step 3. Mimic the speakers. Now comes one of my favorite methods, mimicking the speakers. Choose a video or audio clip you really like and play it sentence by sentence. After each sentence, pause the video and repeat what the speaker said, trying to copy their tone, rhythm, and even their emotions. For example, if they're excited, sound excited. If they're calm, match their calmness. This technique is incredibly powerful because it helps you improve your pronunciation, intonation, and overall speaking fluency. You're not just practicing words, you're practicing how to sound natural. Plus, it's fun. You get to feel like an actor, stepping into someone else's shoes and bringing their words to life. I remember when I first started learning English, I used to watch my favorite TV shows and mimic the characters. I would even act out entire scenes, trying to match their emotions and gestures. It felt like a game, but it helped me improve my speaking skills so much faster than just repeating random sentences from a textbook. Step 4. Talk to yourself. Here's a method you can practice anytime, anywhere. Talking to yourself. It might sound a little strange, but trust me, it works. Wonders. For example, when you're getting ready in the morning, Try describing what you're doing in English. I'm brushing my teeth. I need to pack my bag. What should I wear today? Or, if you're walking outside, talk about what you see. The weather is beautiful today. Look at those clouds. They're so fluffy. Talking to yourself is especially effective when you're experiencing strong emotions. For instance, if you're angry about something, try complaining about it in English. Why is this traffic so bad? I'm going to be late. Or if you're happy, express your excitement. I can't believe I just aced that test. This is the best day ever. By doing this, you're not only practicing your speaking skills, but also making English a natural part of your daily life. Step 5. Use emotions to enhance learning. Speaking of emotions, did you know that they play a huge role in how well you learn? When you involve your emotions in the learning process, your brain is more likely to retain information. That's why it's important to bring energy and enthusiasm into your practice. Don't just say the words, feel them. If you're practicing a happy sentence, smile as you say it. If it's a sad sentence, try to sound genuinely sad. This will make your learning sessions more memorable and effective. Step 6. Make learning fun and personal. One of the best ways to stay motivated is to make learning personal. For example, if you love cooking, watch cooking videos in English and try to explain the recipes in your own words. If you're into sports, follow English-speaking athletes or watch sports commentary. The idea is to connect English with something you're passionate about, so that learning feels like a natural extension of your interests. You can also turn learning into a game. Set challenges for yourself, like, can I learn 5 new phrases from this video? Or, can I describe my entire day in English tonight? Reward yourself when you reach your goals, even if it's just with a small treat or a pat on the back. Remember, the more fun you have, the more likely you are to stick with it. Step 7. Stay consistent. The final key to effective and fun learning is consistency. It's better to practice a little every day than to cram for hours once a week. Make English a part of your daily routine, even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes. Over time, these small, consistent efforts will add up to big results. By following these methods, you'll not only improve your English skills, but also enjoy the process of learning. Remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. So have fun, stay curious, and don't be afraid to try new things. Are you ready to put these methods into practice? In the next section, we'll talk about how to take your learning to the next level by developing reading and writing skills. Let's keep going. Part 5. Developing reading and writing skills. Now that we've covered some effective and fun ways to practice listening and speaking, it's time to shift our focus to 2 other essential skills: reading and writing. These 2 skills often go hand in hand, and developing them will not only improve your overall English ability, but also give you the confidence to express yourself clearly and creatively. The importance of reading. Reading is one of the best ways to expand your vocabulary, improve your grammar, and understand how English is used in different contexts. When you read, you're exposing yourself to how native speakers structure their sentences, express their ideas, and use a wide range of words. The more you read, the more you'll internalize these patterns and start using them naturally in your own speaking and writing. But here's the thing: not all reading is created equal. You don't have to start with Shakespeare or academic papers. In fact, it's much better to choose materials that are interesting, enjoyable, and at your level. If the content is too difficult, you'll feel overwhelmed. If it's too easy, you might get bored. So how do you find the right balance? Step 1. Start with short and simple materials. If you're just starting out, begin with short and simple materials like children's books, comics, or even blog posts. These types of content are usually written in clear, straightforward language, making them perfect for beginners. For example, you could pick a children's book like The Cat in the Hat, or a short story about everyday life. Don't underestimate the power of simplicity. It's the perfect way to build a strong foundation. Another great option is to read articles on topics you're passionate about. Love technology? Find tech blogs in English. Interested in fitness? Read articles about workouts and healthy living. When you're genuinely curious about the topic, you'll be more motivated to read and understand. Step 2. Gradually move to novels and fiction. Once you've built some confidence with short materials, it's time to challenge yourself with longer content, such as novels. Fiction in particular is a fantastic choice because it engages your imagination and emotions, which makes the experience much more enjoyable. Choose a novel that you're excited about, but make sure it's not too difficult. Aim for something where you can understand at least 50 to 60% of the text without a dictionary. For example, books like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or The Little Prince are great for intermediate learners. They're well written, engaging, and not too complex. As you read, don't feel pressured to look up every single word you don't know. Instead, try to guess the meaning from the context and focus on enjoying the story. Step 3. Read actively. Reading actively means engaging with the text rather than just skimming through it. Here are some techniques to make your reading sessions more productive. Highlight new words and phrases. As you read, keep a highlighter or notebook nearby to jot down new words or phrases that catch your attention. Later, you can look them up, write down their meanings, and even create example sentences to help you remember them. Summarize what you've read. After finishing a chapter or section, take a few minutes to summarize it in your own words. This will help you process the information and improve your ability to recall and explain ideas in English. Ask questions. Think critically about what you're reading. For example, why did the character make that choice? Or, what would I do in this situation? This not only improves your comprehension, but also gives you ideas for practicing writing later. The importance of writing. Writing is your opportunity to take everything you've learned, your vocabulary, grammar, and ideas, and put it into practice. It's also one of the best ways to measure your progress. The more you write, the more you'll notice patterns in your mistakes and see improvements over time. Step 1. Keep a daily journal. One of the easiest ways to start writing is by keeping a daily journal. At the end of each day, write a few sentences or paragraphs about what happened, how you felt, and what you learned. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just focus on expressing your thoughts in English. For example, today was a busy day. I had a lot of work, but I managed to finish everything on time. I feel proud of myself, but also a little tired. Tomorrow, I plan to take a break and relax. This simple habit will help you practice forming sentences, using new vocabulary, and reflecting on your day in English. Step 2. Write about what you read. Remember the summaries we talked about earlier? Turn them into writing exercises. After reading a chapter or article, write a short paragraph or essay summarizing what you've learned. For example, if you read an article about climate change, you could write something like this. The article explained how climate change is affecting the environment. It mentioned rising sea levels, extreme weather, and the importance of reducing carbon emissions. I think it's a serious issue, and we all need to take action. By doing this, you're not only practicing your writing, but also reinforcing what you've learned through reading. Step 3. Get feedback. Feedback is essential for improving your writing skills. If possible, share your writing with a teacher, a language exchange partner, or even a friend who speaks English fluently. Ask them to point out your mistakes and suggest ways to make your sentences more natural. For example, they might help You improve a sentence like, yesterday I go to the park, to, yesterday I went to the park. If you don't have access to a teacher, you can also use online tools like Grammarly to check your grammar and spelling. While it's not perfect, it can still help you catch basic errors and make your writing more polished. Step 4. Write about your passions. Writing becomes much more enjoyable when you're writing about something you love. Whether it's a hobby, a personal experience, or even a fictional story, choose topics that excite you. For example, if you're passionate about travel, write about your dream destination. If you love cooking, describe your favorite recipe. The key is to make writing feel like a creative outlet rather than a chore. Step 5. Start small, then challenge yourself. At first, focus on writing short and simple sentences. As you gain confidence, challenge yourself to write longer paragraphs, essays, or even stories. For example, you could start by writing about your weekend plans, then progress to describing a past experience or sharing your opinion on a topic. Final thoughts. Developing your reading and writing skills takes time, but the rewards are worth it. Not only will these skills help you understand English better, but they'll also give you the tools to express yourself clearly and confidently. Remember to stay consistent, celebrate your progress, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. Ready to take your reading and writing to the next level? Let's move on to the next section, where we'll talk about creating an immersive environment for learning English. See you there! Part 6. Creating an immersive learning environment. Now that we've covered how to develop your reading and writing skills, let's talk about one of the most effective ways to truly master English: creating an immersive learning environment. Immersion doesn't mean you have to pack your bags and move to an English-speaking country, although that's great if you have the opportunity. Instead, you can create a mini English environment right where you are, no matter where you live. Let's explore how to do it step by step. Surround yourself with English. Immersion starts with surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. Think of English as the air you breathe. It should be everywhere in your life. Here are some simple ways to do that. Set your devices to English. Change the language. Settings on your phone, computer, and social media accounts to English. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but it forces you to interact with English daily. For example, when you open your phone, you'll see words like settings, notifications, and messages instead of their translations in your native language. Over time, these words will become second nature. Consume English media. Watch movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos in English. Listen to podcasts, audiobooks, and music in English. The idea is to fill your ears with the language as much as possible. And don't just passively listen. Pay attention to how words are pronounced, the emotions behind them, and the rhythm of the sentences. Label your environment. If you're a visual learner, try labeling objects in your house with their English names. For example, put a sticky note that says refrigerator on your fridge, mirror on your mirror, and so on. This simple trick will help you associate English words with the objects you use every day. Practice thinking in English. One of the biggest hurdles for learners is translating everything in their heads from their native language to English. This slows you down and makes speaking feel unnatural. To overcome this, start practicing how to think directly in English. Here's how. Start with simple thoughts. When you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking, "Hum nay min se angin hi," what should I eat today? Try thinking, what should I eat today? It might feel strange at first, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Narrate your day. As you go about your day, try narrating your actions in English. For example, I'm making coffee. I need to call my friend, or it's time to go to the grocery store. This helps you practice forming sentences and makes English feel like a natural part of your daily routine. Ask yourself questions. When you have free time, ask yourself questions in English and answer them. For example, what's my favorite movie? Why do I like it? This not only helps you practice thinking in English, but also prepares you for real conversations. Join English-speaking communities. Interacting with real people is one of the best ways to immerse yourself in English. Even if you don't live in an English-speaking country, there are plenty of ways to connect with English speakers. Here are some ideas. Language exchange partners. Find a language exchange partner online. Platforms like HelloTalk, Tandem, or Speaky connect you with people who want to learn your language in exchange for helping you practice English. This is a great way to have real, meaningful conversations while also learning about different cultures. Join local meetups. Search for English-speaking meetups in your area. For example, if you live in a city, there might be groups that organize English conversation events, book clubs, or even movie nights. Check websites like meetup.com or Facebook for local events. Volunteer for English-speaking roles. Look for volunteer opportunities in your community where you'll need to use English. For example, helping out at tourist information centers, international events, or local charities that interact with English-speaking visitors. 4. Participate in online communities. If you can't find local opportunities, don't worry. The internet is your best friend. There are countless online communities where you can practice English in a supportive and fun environment. Social. Media groups. Join Facebook groups, Reddit communities, or Discord servers focused on learning English or discussing topics you're passionate about. For example, if you love cooking, join an English-speaking cooking group and participate in discussions, online courses, and webinars. Take online courses that are taught in English. Not only will you improve your language skills, but you'll also learn something new in the process. Many platforms like Coursera, Udemy, and YouTube offer free or affordable courses on almost any topic. Participate in forums. Websites like Quora or Reddit allow you to ask and answer questions in English. This is a great way to practice writing and interact with people from all over the world. 5. Immerse yourself through entertainment. Learning doesn't have to feel like studying. It can also be entertaining. Here's how you can turn entertainment into an immersive English experience. Play games in English. If you enjoy video games, switch to playing games in English. Many games have rich storylines and dialogues that expose you to conversational English. Watch with interaction. While watching movies or shows, pause and repeat lines that you find interesting. Try to mimic the way the actors say them. This will improve your pronunciation and intonation. Sing along to songs. Find English songs you love and sing along. Focus on pronouncing the words correctly and try to understand the meaning behind the lyrics. It's a fun way to improve your listening and speaking skills. Challenge yourself to use English daily. Immersion isn't just about exposure, it's about active participation. Challenge yourself to use English in real-life situations, even if it feels intimidating at first. For example, order in English. If you're in a place where English is spoken, try ordering food or drinks in English. Practice phrases like, "Can I have a coffee, please?" Or, "What's your recommendation?" Write in English. Send texts or emails in English to friends or colleagues who are fluent. You could also comment on YouTube videos, social media posts, or blogs in English. Use English for work or study. If you're working or studying, look for opportunities to write reports, give presentations, or participate in discussions in English. Track your progress. Finally, to keep yourself motivated, track your progress. Keep a journal where you note down new words, phrases, or achievements. For example, today I had a 10-minute conversation with my language partner. Or, I read my first English novel. Celebrating these small victories will boost your confidence and remind you of how far you've come. Final thoughts. Creating an immersive learning environment is one of the most effective ways to master English. The more you surround yourself with the language and actively engage with it, the faster you'll improve. Remember, immersion doesn't mean perfection. It's about progress and consistency. So, start small, stay curious, and enjoy the process. Are you ready to take your English learning to the next level? In the next section, we'll discuss how to develop fluency and speak English more naturally and confidently. Let's keep going. Part 7. Fluency Development. Now that we've talked about creating an immersive environment, let's focus on one of the most important aspects of learning English: developing fluency. Fluency is what allows you to communicate naturally, confidently, and at a reasonable speed. But let me tell you something up front. Fluency is not about speaking fast or having a perfect accent. It's about being able to express your thoughts clearly and without hesitation. And the good news is, with consistent practice and the right strategies, anyone can develop fluency. Understand what fluency really means. Before we dive into the methods, let's take a moment to define fluency. Many people think it's about speaking fast, but that's not true. Fluency is about flowing speech. Being able to speak without long pauses or constantly searching for words. Clear communication. Making yourself understood, even if you make minor grammar or pronunciation mistakes. Comfortable speed. Speaking at a pace that feels natural. Not too slow, but not rushed either. So remember, fluency isn't perfection. It's about ease and confidence in using the language. Practice speaking regularly. Fluency is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Here are some practical ways to incorporate speaking practice into your daily routine. Talk to yourself. We've touched on this before, but it's worth repeating. Talking to yourself is one of the easiest ways to practice speaking without any pressure. Narrate your day. Describe what you're doing, or even talk about your plans and goals. For example, I'm making breakfast. Today, I'm going to study English for 30 minutes and watch a movie in English tonight. The more you do this, the more natural it will feel. Shadowing technique. Shadowing is a powerful technique for improving fluency. Choose a short audio or video clip in English. something around 1 to 2 minutes long. Play the clip and try to repeat what the speaker is saying as soon as you hear it. Focus on matching their tone, rhythm, and intonation. At first, this might feel challenging, but with practice, it'll help you sound more natural and improve your speaking speed. Practice with a partner. If possible, find a language exchange partner or tutor to practice speaking with. Having real conversations forces you to think quickly and respond in real time. Don't worry about making mistakes. Remember, communication is the goal. If you don't have a partner, you can use apps like Tandem or HelloTalk to connect with people around the world. 3. Focus on listening. Listening and fluency go hand in hand. To speak fluently, you need to train your ears to understand how native speakers use the language. Here's how to improve your listening skills. Listen to natural conversations. Watch interviews, podcasts, or vlogs where people speak naturally. Pay attention to how they connect their words, their tone, and the phrases they use. For example, native speakers often use contractions like gonna instead of going to or wanna instead of want to. By noticing these patterns, you'll start to incorporate them into your own speech. Listen at different speeds. Start by listening at a slower speed if the audio feels too fast, then gradually increase the speed as you get more comfortable. Platforms like YouTube and podcast apps often allow you to adjust playback speed. Mimic what you hear. After listening to a sentence or phrase, pause and repeat it out loud. Try to match the speaker's tone and rhythm. This not only improves your pronunciation, but also helps you internalize sentence structures. 4. Learn common phrases and expressions. One of the easiest ways to improve fluency is by learning and using common phrases and expressions. These are the building blocks of natural conversation. Instead of trying to translate word for word from your native language, focus on learning phrases that native speakers actually use. Examples of useful phrases. Greetings. How's it going? What's up? Expressing opinions. I think that, in my opinion, asking for clarification. What do you mean by that? Can you explain that again? Showing agreement. That's true. I totally agree. Everyday interactions. Can I get a coffee, please? Do you have a moment? Practice these phrases until they become second nature. The more you use them, the more fluent you'll feel in conversations. Expand your vocabulary. While grammar is important, vocabulary is what helps you express your thoughts. But instead of memorizing long word lists, Focus on learning words and phrases that are relevant to your daily life. Learn in context. When you encounter a new word, try to learn it in a sentence or phrase rather than by itself. For example, instead of just learning the word delicious, learn it as part of a phrase like, "This cake is delicious." This helps you remember how to use the word naturally. Use flashcards. Apps like Anki or Quizlet are great for creating personalized flashcards. Add new words along with example sentences and review them regularly. Practice word. Substitution. Take a simple sentence and replace one word with a synonym. For example, "This movie is good" can become, "This movie is excellent." This exercise helps you expand your vocabulary and add variety to your speech. Build sentence patterns. Fluency isn't just about knowing individual words. It's about knowing how to put them together. One way to do this is by learning and practicing common sentence patterns. Examples of sentence patterns. I need to you because you, e.g., I need to study because I have a test tomorrow. Can you shaksin for me? E.g., can you turn off the lights for me? I'm not sure if I, e.g., I'm not sure if I can make it to the party. Practice creating your own sentences using these patterns. The more you practice, the easier it will be to form sentences on the spot. Practice speaking under pressure. Fluency also means being able to speak when you're under pressure, such as during a presentation, an interview, or even a casual conversation. Here are some tips to handle these situations. Prepare for common scenarios. Think about the situations where you'll need to use English and prepare for them in advance. For example, if you're preparing for a job interview, practice answering common questions like, "Tell me about yourself," or "What are your strengths and weaknesses?" Practice speaking. Faster. Set a timer for 1 minute and try to talk about a topic without pausing. It doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is to train your brain to think and speak quickly. Over time, this will help you become more comfortable speaking at a natural pace. Embrace mistakes. Finally, remember that mistakes are a natural part of learning. If you're too afraid of making mistakes, you'll hesitate to speak, which will hold back your progress. Instead, think of mistakes as opportunities to learn. For example, if you say, "He don't like pizza," and someone corrects you with, "He doesn't like pizza," take note of the correction and move on. The important thing is that you communicated your idea, and that's what fluency is all about. Final. thoughts. Developing fluency takes time and consistent effort, but it's absolutely achievable. Remember, fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It's about speaking confidently and comfortably. By practicing regularly, listening attentively, and embracing the process, you'll gradually become more fluent in English. Are you ready to take your fluency to the next level? In the next section, we'll dive into deliberate study methods that will help you refine your grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Let's keep going. Part 8. Deliberate Study and Advanced Techniques. Congratulations on making it this far. By now, you've learned how to immerse yourself in English and practice speaking fluently. But to truly refine your skills and take your English to the next level, it's time to focus on deliberate study and advanced techniques. This is where you intentionally target specific areas like grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, and use strategic methods to maximize your learning. Let's dive in. 1. What is deliberate study? Deliberate study is different from casual practice. It's about setting clear goals, focusing on specific areas for improvement, and practicing with intention. Instead of just passively watching videos or reading books, you actively engage with the material to learn and grow. Think of it as working out at the gym. You're targeting specific muscles in your English skills to make them stronger. 2. Grammar. Building a solid foundation. Grammar might not be the most exciting part of learning English, but it's essential for clear communication. Here's how to study grammar effectively. Focus on practical grammar. You don't need to learn every single grammar rule. Instead, focus on the ones that you'll use most often in daily life. For example, how to use tenses correctly, subject-verb agreement, and common sentence structures. Learn through examples. Instead of memorizing rules, study examples of how grammar is used in context. For instance, instead of just learning the rule for the present perfect tense, look at sentences like, "I've lived here for 5 years," or "She's already finished her homework." These examples make grammar feel more practical and easier to remember. Use grammar apps. Apps like Grammarly, English Grammar in Use, and Khan Academy can help you identify and correct your mistakes. You can also use them to practice grammar exercises tailored to your level. 2. Vocabulary. Expanding your word bank. Vocabulary is your toolbox for expressing yourself in English. The more words you know, the more flexible and confident you'll feel. Here's how to build your vocabulary strategically. Learn words in context. When you learn a new word, don't just memorize it in isolation. Learn it as part of a phrase or sentence. For example, instead of just learning the word accurate, learn it in a sentence like, "Her answer was accurate." This helps you understand how to use the word naturally. Use flashcards. Apps like Anki or Quizlet are great for creating personalized flashcards. When you encounter a new word, add it to your flashcard deck along with an example sentence. Review your flashcards daily to reinforce your memory. Group. Words by theme. Instead of learning random words, focus on specific themes or topics. For example, if you're interested in travel, learn words like passport, itinerary, boarding pass, and customs. This makes it easier to remember and use the words in real-life situations. Practice active vocabulary. Active vocabulary refers to the words you can actually use when speaking or writing, not just recognize when reading. To make a word part of your active vocabulary, use it in your own sentences, conversations, or journal entries. 4. Pronunciation, sounding clear and natural. Pronunciation is often overlooked, but it's a crucial part of effective communication. Even if your grammar and vocabulary are perfect, unclear pronunciation can make it difficult for others to understand you. Here's how to improve your pronunciation. Learn phonetics. Spend some time learning the International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA, which helps you understand how English sounds are produced. This is especially helpful for tricky sounds like th in think or v in very. Mimic native speakers. Choose a native speaker you admire, maybe a podcast host, an actor, or a YouTuber, and try to mimic how they speak. Pay attention to their intonation, stress, and rhythm. Apps like Elsa Speak and SpeechLink can also provide feedback on your pronunciation. Record yourself. Record yourself speaking and listen to the playback. Compare your pronunciation to native speakers and note any areas for improvement. This might feel awkward at first, but it's one of the fastest ways to identify and correct mistakes. Practice minimal pairs. Minimal pairs are words that sound similar but have different meanings, like ship and sheep or bat and bet. Practicing these pairs helps you fine-tune your listening and speaking skills. 5. Writing. Crafting clear and effective sentences. Writing is your chance to put everything you've learned, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, into practice. Here's how to improve your writing step by step. Start a writing journal. Write a short entry every day about your thoughts, experiences, or goals. For example, today, I learned how to use the past perfect tense. I also watched a video about improving fluency and I feel more motivated than ever. Practice. Paraphrasing. Take a sentence or paragraph and rewrite it in your own words. For example, if you read, "The weather was terrible yesterday, so we stayed indoors," you could write, "Since it rained heavily, we decided to stay at home." This helps you practice flexibility with sentence structures. Write emails or messages. If you have friends, colleagues, or a language exchange partner, try writing to them in English. Even casual messages like, "Hey, how's your day going?" can help you practice everyday writing. Get feedback. Share your writing with someone who can provide constructive feedback. A teacher, a tutor, or even an online writing community like Lang Correct. Learning from your mistakes is one of the fastest ways to improve. Advanced techniques. For deliberate study. Once you've mastered the basics, you can use advanced techniques to push your skills even further. Here are some ideas. Learn through chunking. Chunking means learning language in phrases or chunks rather than individual words. For example, instead of learning the word apologize, learn the whole phrase, "I'd like to apologize for." This makes your speech more natural and fluent. Use spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is a method of reviewing material at gradually increasing intervals. Apps like Anki are perfect for this. They help you remember vocabulary, grammar rules, or phrases more effectively by showing them to you just before you're likely to forget. Teach what you learn. One of the best ways to solidify your knowledge is to teach it to someone else. For example, if you've just learned about modal verbs, explain them to a friend or write a blog post about how to use them. Teaching forces you to organize your thoughts and deepens your understanding. Challenge yourself with complex texts. Once you're comfortable with intermediate materials, try reading more complex content, like articles from The Economist, scientific journals, or classic literature. Take your time to analyze the structure, vocabulary, and style. Stay consistent and track your progress. Deliberate study is all about consistency. Set aside specific times each day to focus on one skill, whether it's grammar, vocabulary, or writing. And don't forget to track your progress. Keep a journal where you note down what you've learned, your achievements, and areas for improvement. For example, you could write, "Today, I learned 10 new phrasal verbs and used them in sentences. I also practiced pronunciation by shadowing a TED Talk." Final thoughts. Deliberate study and advanced techniques are the keys to turning good English skills into great ones. Remember, The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be effective. By focusing on specific areas, practicing with intention, and staying consistent, you'll see noticeable improvements over time. So, are you ready to take control of your learning and reach the next level? In the next section, we'll discuss how to make the most of your environment and resources to keep progressing. Let's keep going. Part 9. Creative Tips for Practicing English. At this point, you've learned about deliberate study and advanced techniques to sharpen your English skills. Now, let's switch gears and talk about some creative ways to practice English. These are techniques that go beyond traditional methods and make learning fun, exciting, and personal. Remember, the key to mastering English is consistency, and the best way to stay consistent is to enjoy the process. So let's dive into some creative tips that you can start using today. Practice with summaries. One of the most effective ways to practice English is by summarizing what you've read, watched, or listened to. Here's how you can do it. Summarize. Articles or stories. Take a short article or a chapter from a book and summarize it in your own words. For example, if you read an article about climate change, you could write or say something like, "The article explains how global warming affects the environment and what actions we can take to reduce it." This exercise helps you improve your vocabulary, sentence structure, and ability to express ideas clearly. Summarize conversations or events. After a conversation or event, try summarizing what happened in English. For example, "Today I talked to my friend about her trip to Japan. She said the food was amazing and she visited a lot of temples." This not only improves your speaking skills, but also helps you process and retain information. Engage in role-playing. Role-playing is a fantastic way to practice real-life conversations in a safe and controlled environment. Here's how you can use it. Create scenarios. Think about situations where you might need to use English, such as ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, or attending a job interview. Write down some dialogue prompts and practice acting them out. For example, you. "Hi, I'd like to order a cheeseburger and fries, please." Waiter. "Sure. Would you like a drink with that?" You. "Yes, I'll have a Coke, please." Practice with a partner. If you have a friend or language partner, take turns playing different roles. You can even get creative and act out fun scenarios like being a tourist in a new city or a detective, solving a mystery. This makes learning interactive and engaging. Turn social media into a learning tool. Social media is often seen as a distraction, but it can actually be a powerful tool for learning English if used wisely. Here's how. Follow English-speaking accounts. Follow influencers, educators, or creators who post in English. For example, if you love cooking, follow English-speaking chefs or food bloggers. Pay attention to the captions and comments. They're a great source of natural language. Engage in comments. Don't just scroll passively. Leave comments in English. For example, if someone posts a photo of a beautiful sunset, you could comment, "Wow, this is stunning. Where was this taken?" Engaging in conversations helps you practice writing and interacting with others. Create your own content. Start an Instagram or TikTok account where you post about your hobbies or daily life in English. For example, you could share a photo of your lunch and write, "I made this pasta today. It's my favorite recipe." This not only helps you practice writing, but also builds your confidence. 4. Use games to learn English. Learning doesn't have to be serious all the time. Why not turn it into a game? Here are some fun ways to do it. Play word games. Games like Scrabble, Boggle, or Wordle are fantastic for expanding your vocabulary. You can play these games online or with friends, and they're a great way to make learning feel like a fun challenge. Use language apps. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or Memrise turn language learning into a gamified experience. They reward you with points, badges, and streaks for completing lessons, which keeps you motivated. Create your own games. Make a game out of learning English by challenging yourself. For example, how many new words can I learn today? Or can I describe my entire day using only English? These little challenges make learning feel more like play. 5. Immerse yourself through hobbies. Whatever your hobbies are, you can use them as a way to practice English. Here's how. Cooking. If you enjoy cooking, follow recipes in English. Watch cooking shows or YouTube videos by English-speaking chefs and try to follow along. For example, you could watch a video about how to bake a cake and then try explaining the steps to someone else in English. Sports. If you're a sports fan, watch games with English commentary. Learn the specific terms and phrases used in your favorite sport. For example, if you like basketball, learn terms like free throw, three-pointer, or fast break. DIY projects. Love crafting or building things. Watch tutorials in English and follow the instructions. For example, you could build a piece of furniture using an English language tutorial and practice describing each step. Use music and lyrics. Music is a universal language, and it's an excellent way to practice English. Here's how to use it. Learn the lyrics. Choose a song you love and look up the lyrics. Sing along and focus on pronouncing the words correctly. For example, if you like Ed Sheeran's Perfect, practice singing lines like, "I found a love for me." Analyze the meaning. Take some time to analyze the meaning of the song's lyrics. What is the artist trying to say? Write a short summary of the song in your own words. Create your own lyrics. If you're feeling creative, try writing your own lyrics in English. You could even rewrite the lyrics of a popular song to make it about your own life. This is a fun way to practice vocabulary and sentence structure. Watch and imitate. Watching videos and imitating what you hear is one of the most effective ways to improve your pronunciation and speaking skills. Here's how to do it. Watch TV shows and movies. Choose a scene you love and watch it several times. Pay attention to the character's tone, gestures, and expressions. Then, try to imitate the scene, copying their words and emotions as closely as possible. Use YouTube videos. Find videos on topics that interest you, like travel vlogs, how-to tutorials, or interviews. Pause after each sentence and repeat what the speaker says. This helps you practice intonation and fluency. Set fun challenges for yourself. Make learning exciting by setting fun challenges. Here are some ideas. Daily word challenge. Learn one new word or phrase every day and use it in a sentence. For example, if the word is exhausted, you could say, "I feel exhausted after my workout today." Speak for 5 minutes without stopping. Choose a topic and challenge yourself to talk about it in English for 5 minutes without stopping. For example, describe your favorite vacation or explain how to make your favorite dish. Write a short story. Write a short story in English using the vocabulary and grammar you've been learning. For example, write about an adventure you'd like to go on, or imagine a day in the life of your future self. Final thoughts. Practicing English doesn't have to be boring or repetitive. By using creative methods like summarizing, role-playing, engaging on social media, and turning hobbies into learning opportunities, you can make the process enjoyable and rewarding. The most important thing is to find what works for you and keep experimenting until you discover the techniques you love. Ready to try out these creative tips? In the next section, we'll talk about combining everything. Part 10. Conclusion and call to action. Opening transition. As we come to the end of this lesson, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered so far. From identifying the challenges of traditional learning methods to exploring fun, immersive, and deliberate ways to master English, you've gained a complete roadmap to take your English skills to the next level. And now, it's time to bring it all together. Recap of key lessons. First, let's quickly recap what we've discussed. Understanding the problems with traditional learning. We talked about how traditional methods often focus too much on memorization and grammar rules without giving enough opportunities for real communication. Managing your time and energy. I showed you how to make learning a priority in your daily life and use your time wisely by focusing on small, consistent efforts. Fun and effective learning methods. You learned how to make English enjoyable by watching videos, mimicking native speakers, and practicing speaking with emotions. Developing reading and writing skills. We discussed the importance of reading actively, writing consistently, and using feedback to grow your skills. Creating an immersive environment. I shared tips on surrounding yourself with English through media, social interactions, and even labeling your surroundings. Fluency development. We explored how to speak naturally and confidently by practicing regularly, listening carefully, and embracing your mistakes. Deliberate study and advanced techniques. I introduced strategies like chunking, spaced repetition, and learning vocabulary in context to build a strong foundation. Creative practice. Tips. And finally, you discovered how to add creativity to your learning through role-playing, social media, music, and games. Each of these steps builds on the other, creating a solid framework for your English learning journey. Encouragement and motivation. Now, I know learning English can feel overwhelming at times. You might wonder, am I really making progress? Or will I ever be fluent? Let me remind you, every small step you take matters. Every word you learn, every sentence you write, and every conversation you have in English is a victory. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You've already shown incredible dedication by following along with this lesson. That alone proves you have what it takes to succeed. Remember, learning English isn't a race. It's a journey, and every journey is made up of small, consistent steps. Trust yourself, stay curious, and keep moving forward. D. Practical next steps. To help you turn what you've learned into action, here are some practical next steps. Set a weekly goal. Decide on 1 or 2 specific goals to focus on each week. For example, learn 10 new vocabulary words, practice speaking for 15 minutes a day, or read 1 short story in English. Writing down your goals makes them more achievable. Create a learning schedule. Block out time in your daily or weekly routine for English practice. Even 20 minutes a day can make a big difference if you're consistent. Use what you've learned. Pick 1 technique from today's lesson and start using it immediately. Whether it's shadowing, journaling, or joining an online community, taking action is the key to progress. Track your progress. Keep a journal or log where you record what you've learned and how you've improved. For example, write about a conversation you had in English, a new word you used, or a book you finished. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they seem. 4. Call to action. Now I have a challenge for you. I want you to take the first step right now. In the comments below, share 1 thing you learned from this lesson and 1 goal you're going to set for yourself. Maybe you'll decide to practice speaking for 10 minutes a day or start watching your favorite TV show in English. Whatever it is, write it down and commit to it. Sharing your goal will not only hold you accountable, but also inspire others in our learning community. If you found this lesson helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends who are also learning English. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new lesson. I post content regularly to help you improve your English step by step. Lastly, if you have any questions, topics you'd like me to cover, or techniques you've tried that work well for you, let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and your feedback helps me create better content for you. Wow. Final encouragement. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Learning English is not just about mastering a language. It's about opening doors to new opportunities, new friendships, and a deeper understanding of the world. Every effort you put into learning, English brings you closer to those possibilities. So be proud of yourself for taking this step today. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. I'm here to guide you, and there's an entire community of learners just like you, supporting and inspiring one another. Closing message. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you feel more motivated and equipped to take your English learning to the next level. Keep practicing, stay curious, and never stop believing in yourself. I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, happy learning, and remember, every word you learn brings you closer to fluency. Take care, and see you soon. Closing scene. Subscribe, like, and share the video, accompanied by soft music and visuals of motivational quotes or English learning tips appearing on the screen. Great work today! Every moment you spend practicing brings you closer to mastering your English listening and speaking skills. Remember, progress comes with patience and consistency. If this story inspired you or helped you in your learning journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more lessons and stories. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep believing in your growth. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and keep shining.